Hello everyone, we are back with the fourth video of my Reddit crochet knit drama. You guys didn't really like my opinion in the last video, so let's see if you guys like my opinions in this video. And this video specifically, we're going to be focusing on testing calls, the testing process specifically, because I love talking about testing calls and better ways to do them. Hello everyone, my name is Hunter May. I am the owner of May Crochets. I am a pattern designer, so that's kind of where I'm coming from in a lot of these different stories, just so you know the background. Oh, I guess briefly, I did want to mention, I'm not going to really talk specifically about designers in this. I want to more just talk about the topic and have a good discussion around these drama things. And as always, don't create more drama from this video, please. Don't go commenting to the other designers. That's not what this video is for. It's just to talk about these things in our community because we care and we want to make the community better. Also, another quick note, I got a tattoo yesterday. I have some weird spots on my arm right now. So if you see anything weird on my arm, that's why. But if you're curious to see really quick, I got a little squirrel and little chickadees and pine cones and everything. I was gonna be doing here, but I was like, not today. This is enough for today because I'm so scared for this part. Okay. Let's dive into it. So the very first one, this happened a few days ago. I'm gonna try really hard not to go into this designer, but I think I might have a hard time doing that. There is a conversation that's gonna come out of it that I would like to talk about. The title is the designer's name, testing call. So this is a testing call that someone put out like 5 days ago. So here is what the testing call is for. The caption says, looking for pattern testers that can make within 2 weeks. Fast workup, experienced beginner level, serious inquiries only. You must be able to be a quicker crocheter. A quicker crocheter. Such weird wording. 2 weeks is not long at all, especially for this. This is almost like a blanket. You're basically creating a blanket in 2 weeks, which is a lot. People started commenting, obviously, on this post, being like, 2 weeks is crazy for this. Someone put, yikes, 2 weeks for that large a project? That's not sustainable and frankly seems scummy as a pattern tester to ask free labor of people in that time frame. Please have more respect for the community and your testers by not asking them to break their bodies for your pattern testing. I genuinely can't think of a reason to want such a quick turnaround. I'm disgusted. Smiley face. I mean, that's so fair. One, there's no reason to want to get it done in 2 weeks. What is the reason for wanting it that quickly? And to be asking other people to be stressed out and hurry making something so fast just for you to happen to get it done for 2 weeks is very bizarre. So then I guess this designer went on that person who posted this comment on one of their posts on their profile and started being kind of rude. So they just typed yikes guys in a post that maybe just looks like it's a selfie. I don't know what the post is, but that's super weird. The designer posted a post on their page of the screenshot of that comment that someone put, the one that we read, and posted it as a post and said, I don't know what's wrong with some of y'all, but I don't play this. Being nasty to artists online ain't it. I hate the grammar. This is voluntary and it's not free labor. I literally did all the main labor myself and made it easy for other people to do it. Pause. It literally is free labor. You're asking people to do something for free for you. You're not asking them to design the pattern. Is that what you're thinking? People mean by free labor? Anyways, it's not free when you're getting a product in exchange for work. That's called a trade. Haters going to hate, but they damn sure ain't creative enough to create, produce, and write a pattern. Just sit on the internet effing whining. I digress. This designer thinks that people are mad because they can't design their own, okay? Let's go to the next screenshot. This looks like it might be a comment back to the comment that we read in the first place. Also, I don't have to share any of my work with you ever. So maybe you shouldn't poop on pattern makers earning their living when they could very easily go do something else instead of envision, create, and assemble instructions for a mass amount of people to enjoy. You're really nasty. I can't even believe I read this garbage today. This is, like, the audacity is crazy. You could easily go do something else. No one's asking you to design anything. Okay, we're gonna continue on. If anyone else has anything negative to say about what I am asking, then you can kindly piss off. I don't care about your poopy attitude, and trying to berate me into sending out patterns to people frankly doesn't make me want to open the opportunity when you have such horrendous attitudes. I'll continue in my lane, stay in yours. This is crazy. Like, literally, the only thing this person did was criticize the 2 weeks. I guess as far as I know from these comments, you know, from these screenshots of comments, but rightfully so, this person criticized the 2 weeks for essentially like a blanket. This designer is going off on them. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. So they said, listen, this is a voluntary opportunity. You don't apply and I wouldn't send you anything for free. Obviously, this designer has not been great. The post of the Reddit post, what they said is she had a meltdown in the comments in response to valid criticism and goes out of her way to lash out at random commenters. And the craziest thing is this is not the first Reddit post about this situation. This designer continues to, as Reddit calls it, crashing out about this. The conversation that I wanted to come out of this, which she kind of made a little bit, is essentially you don't have to apply for a testing call if you don't like it. And I hard disagree with that. Like, I mean, obviously you don't have to, like, you're never required to sign up for something, like to volunteer for something, but you have the absolute right to call things that are bad out. And that doesn't just mean that, oh, that's bad, but I'm gonna just not do anything about it. Like, it doesn't make sense. Hopefully not a lot of people have signed up for this testing call, but you never know. There's a lot of beginners that are just gonna be excited to be part of a testing call. Maybe they've never done testing calls before and they're just gonna say, cool, yeah, I'll do whatever because I really wanna test this. And it's not fair to them. So people who know that it's a bad testing call should call it out and do something so we don't keep seeing these really bad testing calls. That conversation aside of whether you can just ignore bad testing calls or not, the fact that the designer is just going off on people calling her out is crazy. This is just someone who should not have a platform at all. I don't like talking about the designers in this situation because we all make mistakes and we're all learning as we go, but this situation is just far beyond the reactions that, I don't know. I think it needs to be talked about just because it's just rude. Like, it's so rude. It's rough, but I think the thing we can learn about this is to not have bad testing calls and also just be a nice person. Learn from your mistakes and be better versus rude. Yeah, let's go to the next one. So this one is pretty interesting. It's titled When Test Knitters Become Swatch Auditioners, which I love the title. This is what the post says. So I just read a call for test knitters that included requirements to submit a picture of a swatch with gauge met before you will send the pattern, requirement that you provide good modeled pictures with your project. Yes, all caps, theirs, not mine. Encouragement that the tester with the best pictures of the finished project would be rewarded with a free pattern. Okay. Multiple reminders of how strict the deadline will be just in case you're a bit slow on the uptake. And all of this from a design collaboration that doesn't appear to have published a single pattern yet. Maybe that's why they're only able to give out an additional pattern to a single tester. Maybe that will be an additional test as a reward. You have to swatch before you get to even see the pattern. And the whole thing is also a FO? Fasten off? I don't know. Photo contest. No thank you. Yes, test knitting is generally free labor. I don't see that as problematic, but I also happen to mostly enjoy the process a lot, or I wouldn't sign up for any of it. I even do my best to provide good pictures in a timely manner, on Instagram and Ravelry. But I appreciate when at least a semblance of perspective is kept on who is doing whom the biggest favor. Call it a charade, but I prefer the charade to be blatant entitlement. So this was 4 years ago. So this is a long time ago, but I thought it just had an interesting conversation to it. First of all, having to complete the gauge swatch before being sent the pattern is a little strange to me. I understand maybe to ensure that that tester is able to actually complete your pattern. Not the worst thing to do. This could be someone who has been ghosted a lot from testers, or maybe has sent a lot of patterns out to testers and they've found that it's way too complicated for them. Maybe they're a beginner and it's a harder pattern and they weren't able to complete it because of the skill level. One thing I would say to solve that problem is just vetting your testers more. Like, look at their profile and see what they've made in the past, and you should be able to tell the skill level right away. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's really, really bizarre. Have to do the gauge swatch before even being sent the pattern. It's not the weirdest thing, I guess. Like, it is nice to force people to make a gauge swatch because gauge swatches are important to make. And if a tester gets all said and done and they give feedback that says, oh, it doesn't fit correctly, or like it fits weird, and you find out it was just because their gauge was off, it's a little irritating because they can't have the best feedback for you because they didn't do that initial step in the first place. So I kind of see both sides. It's a little weird to me, not insanely crazy. The good modeled pictures, kind of basic testing situation. Obviously, some people have better pictures than others. Just kind of how it is, how it's gonna be. Also, like, not defining what good modeled pictures means. You kind of need to define that if you're going to make that so important. This next one, this is the crazy one. That the tester with the best pictures would be rewarded a free pattern. That's insane to me because that's so objective. I've gotten tons of really great pictures from testers and I would not be able to pick which one I think is the best one because they all look so good. You just objectively pick whichever one you like the most as the designer is crazy. Yeah, and to like pin your testers on each other is so crazy to me. I understand like the friendly competition in order to get better results for you, to get better pictures, but that's crazy. Really strict deadlines, still also not very great. A strict deadline. It's good to be movable with your deadline, especially if a lot of your testers didn't get done in time. That's just being a good designer and testing call runner. Also, I guess the little note that they have about it too, I appreciate when at least a semblance of perspective is kept on who is doing whom the biggest favor. And I think that's fair. Like, I think a lot of designers kind of lose that perspective of things, especially once you start getting a lot of signups for a specific testing call. I can see how it's easy to forget that all these people are willing to do a big favor for you. It starts to feel like these people are just like falling over themselves to come make this thing that I created. Like, I'm so amazing. The people that I pick should be so ecstatic and so happy that I chose them to test my pattern. But that's such a gross mentality of it. And as long as you just, as a designer, remember that these people are doing you a massive favor, like how many hours it takes to crochet and knit things, it's such a big favor. And it could be incorrect because it hasn't been tested yet. You just have to keep that mentality. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about the second one. Now it's on to the third one. This one is titled Crochet Designer Posting Public Call Out on Instagram. So this was a year ago. I've seen a few designers and there's been a couple people that have done this, so I just kind of wanted to bring it into our conversation. The post says, I came across this on my timeline today and it just icked me out. I understand being frustrated about a tester ghosting, but the public callouts are so wild to me. especially over a pattern that costs $6. There's also a lot she can do as a designer to make it more difficult for testers to steal the pattern and ghost. I just think this is weird behavior over a $6 pattern. So this one is a picture of the tester's profile. The next carousel is a DM that the designer sent to this tester, basically saying that they haven't seen a message from them recently, haven't received any feedback for the test. I understand life happens, however, I extended the deadline several times. And then they are asking that they pay for the pattern when it's released because the pattern has live updates, so you have to access the full pattern. And then the caption says, "I'm skipping straight over a story post because I'm tired of being taken advantage of as a small business, and this deserves to remain seen forever on my timeline." Okay. I just wrapped up testing for my waffle stitch hooded pocket shawls pattern. That was the longest name ever. Yesterday, and while everyone communicated clearly about any extensions they needed, thank you so much to my amazing testers for all of the communication about progress along the way, one tester did not communicate at all near the end of the testing period, and I never received any progress pictures at any point either. So I proceeded to politely reach out to request their final pictures and notes or a payment for the pattern yesterday, and waited until this morning when I reached out again, sending my methods of payment and the pattern cost, to only be met with a block from them. And then they added the tester. "This behavior is very wrong and disrespectful to not only me but my business, and I'm not going to let it go unseen. I don't want anyone to reach out to them on my behalf because at this point, I never want to hear from her or have her business, and the issue is over now. However, I wanted it to be known that this is how the person behaves after stealing a pattern. I hope everyone else is having a much better Wednesday than me. Thank you for taking the time to read, and any and all shares are greatly appreciated. We can't let people continue to get away with this thievery and treatment of small businesses and individuals." I think a public call out is so crazy. Obviously, we're only seeing one side of this story. There could be a lot more that we're not seeing of why this person may have blocked this designer. We don't really know. If we go with what this designer says, it does suck a lot that they just straight up blocked the designer and just ghosted them. Yeah, not a great thing to do, but there wasn't a contract. There wasn't any money exchanged. $6 pattern. Sometimes as a designer, you just have to take that loss. If you are not having people directly sign a contract, you're not paying people to test your patterns, it's a volunteer thing. People can steal your pattern and hit the road, but there's really nothing you can do about it. There's no legal standing. So people turn to public callouts, which is also not great. You're just kind of seen as icky. Over $6. There's definitely frustration, but a public call out is truly wild. Yeah, okay, well, I guess this person will never test anything for me ever again, and that's kind of all you can do. There's not a lot you can do as a designer to make sure someone doesn't ghost you, but going to this extreme just seems crazy to me. It also makes testers never want to test for you if they haven't before, because they're going to be scared of getting publicly called out like this. Oh no, what if I end up in the hospital and I can't get to my phone and all of a sudden this designer puts me on blast because I didn't get to them in time. People are going to be worried about it and no one's going to want to test for you. One thing that some of the commenters are talking about in this post is that if they had to extend the deadline multiple times, that could have meant that there were major issues with the pattern, or it was a super short testing deadline. So maybe the tester was like, screw this, I'm out of here, and just blocked. Like I mentioned, we don't know the other story. We don't know the other side to this. But yeah, it just doesn't reflect back on you as a designer very well if you publicly call people out like this. Let's get to the fourth story, because I think that's all I have to say about this one. This fourth one is called Another Pattern Designer Being Real Weird About Test Knits. Let's read the story here that they put first. So it says, "Hi everyone, something happened this week that I'm still trying to process." Okay. As you may know, I'm offering all test knitters the final version of the pattern they test and a 50% discount code for all my self-published patterns on Ravelry. This week, a test knitter who has tested twice for me asked the following. After testing 2 of my patterns and receiving 2 50% off coupon codes, can I send them a free pattern instead? They probably didn't mean any harm, but I have to admit that this question really hurt my feelings. My test conditions are very clear. Both the requirements and the rewards are available to anyone interested in testing one of my patterns. And in the application form, I explicitly ask if the tester agrees to these terms. I often even send the coupon code to testers who meet most, but not all, of the requirements. I try to be as tolerant and flexible as possible in this regard. For most of my patterns, I have more test knitters than sales. This means that most people who knit my patterns got the pattern without paying for it. There are rarely any major problems with the patterns during the test knits, as they have been professionally tech edited before the test. So all of my testers get really good quality patterns that I have received great feedback on the test knitting process again and again. What bothers me so much is this. Why agree to the testing terms first and then when the test is over, ask for more? If you have 2 coupon codes for, say, a big chain like Starbucks or McDonald's, would you ask them for free stuff instead of the coupons there? And why do people think it's appropriate to ask a small business to give away their products for free? If I gave every tester a free pattern once they had tested 2 of my patterns, I could no longer call myself a business owner. I would no longer behave like someone trying to build a business. You can't build a business by giving away all of your work for free. I guess I'll never understand why people don't realize that if I gave away my patterns for free, I would no longer be able to design at all. Sorry, I'm done venting now. Maybe this is affecting me more than it should. Some days it's just so hard to deal with, especially on Sundays when I should have time to rest. Okay. I feel like this person is like jumping to conclusions so much. Well, if I take 2 50% coupon codes and make it 1 free pattern, then I literally cannot have a business. If I'm just giving away things for free all the time, I can't have a small business. I could no longer call myself a business owner. You can't build a business by giving away all your work for free. This is 1 free pattern. This is crazy. Okay, so the post says, this designer posted this on their story, blasting a test knitter for daring to ask for a comp pattern, which is basically industry standard. There are a lot of designers that do give free patterns for a completed testing call, so it's not like out of the norm in any way. Yes, I understand the test knitter agreed to those terms at the start, not the real point. If you're a designer with more than 1 published pattern and you're not offering this, please ask yourself why. I have considered doing it. I haven't done it yet. Yeah. Pattern PDFs are not a limited resource, and giving your testers a comp pattern means you get more unpaid advertising from them when they knit a second design and post about it. Why would you not want a skilled knitter to make your pattern, make a Ravelry page about the project, and tell everyone about it on social media? What do you lose by giving away a PDF? Nothing feels worse than spending 40+ hours on a sweater and getting 50% off coupon or less in return. My full work week of free labor is not even worth a $9 comp pattern. Yeah. The goodwill of an appreciative designer who treats testers well will speak for itself and expand your business so much faster than whatever this mindset is. I'm so tired. So this is a year ago, so this was a while ago, but it is a very interesting conversation. If you're giving that 1 pattern away for $10, it's $10. It's not like hundreds of dollars. It's not even $100. It's 1 pattern. And I think it makes sense. Like what this person in the post is saying, spending 40+ hours on a sweater, testing it, to only get 50% off in return is kind of wild. Obviously, this designer is trying to do something to at least give like a little bit of a discount to the testers, but to like deny a free pattern and then post about it, no is an okay answer. You know, this designer could have just answered the person and said, oh, I think I'd rather you like use the coupon codes. Like, I don't feel comfortable with that. Something. They didn't have to then make a story and talk about how it like deeply upsets them and they don't think it's fair, and if they give all this free stuff away, they're not gonna be a small business anymore. And I think this person is just not looking at it in the right way. They're way more money mindset versus growing your audience and getting more long-term customers slash testers. This tester, after asking that and getting put on blast on this designer's story, probably not gonna want to test for them ever again. If the designer would have just said like, no, I'm sorry, I don't think I want to do that, I bet the tester would have been like, okay, thought it'd be worth asking, but like totally fine, you know, like not required to say yes or anything. Now that they posted publicly about it, yeah, they're not going to be very happy about that. I do think it's interesting that they said that if you're a designer not offering this, please ask yourself why. It is a good point to say if you're giving free patterns to your testers, you are kind of getting more marketing if they do happen to complete the pattern. I have gotten free patterns for testing other designers, but they've just kind of built up into my file library of patterns and I have yet to make them. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's an interesting conversation. I'd be interested to see what you guys think. Do you think I should be doing that? I just think it's really interesting the way the pattern designer just jumped to like crazy conclusions of, I can't just start giving tons of things free, all of my work for free, then I can't be a small business. Like, we're talking about one pattern. And you could set the precedent that if you do 2 tests and you haven't spent your coupon yet, you could exchange that for a free pattern instead. No harm, really. Also, and that means you're getting repeat testers, which everyone loves. All right, that is all I have for you guys for this testing call specific Reddit drama. I would really love to know what you guys think about all these stories, and hopefully you guys agreed with me a little bit more than the last video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!
I wish I could leave my skin behind in this old rented room, float my way across the great divide and be buried